All right.
Okay, both things are recording right now.
Who's ready to hear us shit on James Bond for 30 minutes?
I like James Bond. Shut your mouth.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 207 of Thinking Outside the Longbox. The second...
204.
That's what I said, 204. I thought you said 206 last time.
Nope.
I'm drunk. I'm not drunk.
You're not sipping on Crown all episode?
Hey, YouTube.
No. What was I saying? Oh, anyway, welcome to episode 204, the second in our series of 3 episodes about spy shit.
Yes.
Last episode, you heard us talk about The Blacklist, which we all enjoyed. Juan is full invested, and Doyle and I enjoyed the small amount that we watched. I am half-mast.
It's a shame my mic didn't work all last episode. I only came in there finally at the ending. It's a shame they'll never hear my opinions on it, you know?
Yeah. We
You'll hear us shitting on you later.
That's fair.
So this episode is a pop culture classic from our Patreon supporter, Jason Wells. This time, Jason picked Goldfinger for us to watch, and it's actually what got us started on the path of recording 3 episodes about spy movie shit. So Goldfinger, Sean Connery, James Bond. Tell us a little bit about it, Juan.
Oh, Juan? Oh, shit.
Yeah, you've been having this stuff lately.
It's the 1964 spy film. It's the 3rd installment of the James Bond franchise, which is crazy. I did not know that. It was preceded by the Sean Connery Dr. No and Sean Connery from Russia with Love. It was... It was made with $3 million, and it made $125 million.
Oh, fuck. They made a lot of money, especially considering that it was in the 60s.
Yeah, that's a ton of money for them.
Yeah.
It stars Sean Connery, obviously, as James Bond. Honor Blackman as Pussy Galore.
I mean, how much money is still making?
I'm sure it's still making money.
The iconicness of Bond, which...
Didn't they just do, 50 years of Bond?
I'm sure.
I believe 75?
So.
Yeah.
I feel like it was a shitload of years.
I know it's
crazy anniversary.
Wildly controversial, but I have fucking never liked Bond, and this movie was hard to watch.
So I don't know that that's crazy controversial. I am also not a massive Bond fan. Mel and Ashton love these movies, and so every time a new Bond movie comes out, she goes with Ashton because I'm just not interested most of the time.
Because you're not as fun. You always fuck things up.
You're like the future man of people.
You're the fun stuff.
I'm like the... What is that? What is that other terrible fucking... I'm the Outlander of people.
You're like the Outlander of people.
That's funny.
I hate this movie.
You're like the Goldfinger of people, apparently. Did anyone besides Juan enjoy this?
So it's hard because I was in the middle. I enjoyed it because I thoroughly enjoyed James Bond. But then you realize that this is so much slower than what we're used, than even what, if you just jumped on board James Bond, Daniel Craig, and even Pierce Brosnan, if we were going to go back a little bit, you know what I mean? They're just so much fast paced. There's so much more action. There's way less just chatting on screen. And I think that's probably why my dad really loved James Bond early on, because it was a lot of talking, there was a lot of women, it was a lot of smoothness going on, with some action thrown in. But I just don't think that captures people's attention anymore. But I enjoyed it.
So here's the thing. I've seen pretty much every James Bond movie. Like I said, my wife's a big fan. I really only like the first 4 James Bond movies. And I only like the first 4 James Bond movies because they're highly dialogue and plot driven, because that's what I enjoy. So this movie, even though I'm not a big Bond fan, they're not great plots, but they are plot driven as opposed to just shit exploding. I'm not a big James Bond fan, but I love this movie because it's so like kitschy and shitty, and James Bond is like such a fucking misogynist pig dog, and everything he says is so hilarious, and he would go to jail instantly for the way he treats women nowadays, and it's funny to me. Like, it's just such a throwback, and then also it's not just James Bond action fighting shit blowing up. So I end up liking, I really like From Russia with Love, I really like Dr. No, and I really like this one. Like those are like the 3 James Bond movies I actually really enjoy.
Gabe, you're not alone. 98% critic score, 89% audience score.
It's weird. I hate when I'm in the right.
That is a monumental critic score. That's fucking crazy high.
The critic score again?
98%.
It's probably too high because it's a classic that had been out for decades before Rotten Tomatoes was a thing. Nobody's going to just say, "Oh, well, fuck Goldfinger" the day that Rotten Tomatoes comes out. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I feel like that's something we all would have done, though. Just search out the movies we all hate and just immediately leave the first 1 star.
Be like, Gone with the Wind, hot garbage, bitches.
Casablanca was bullshit.
Actually, that movie's fucking great, but
Oh, I know.
So boring.
it's not boring. It's so good.
It's so boring.
I was incredibly bored by Goldfinger. Holy crap. I've seen it like maybe a handful of times, like with my dad, and I loved it then because he loved it, I guess, because he's an old ass man and he probably saw that film in theater when it came out. So for him, it's probably a nostalgia thing. For me, it's like, fuck, man, he spends like 10 minutes in that cell doing jack shit. And then like when Goldfinger is like getting the room ready and does everything one at a time, like, okay, moving the pool table, closing the window now I'm moving the bar. I'm like, God damn it, can we get to the point?
I'm trying to figure out why Goldfinger killed the guys that were on board with his plan.
Even
Like
the
he went through this whole project of moving shit and shit coming up on the screen, and people were making fun of the dude who didn't want to do it, and they're like, yeah, we're maybe not as enthusiastic, but they were in on the plan, and he killed them anyway.
Right. That's because he didn't want to pay them back their money. He just wanted to keep their money and then like perpetuate the robbery on Fort Knox. That's why he killed them all.
Weird.
By
Also,
making all the gold radioactive.
There have only been 6 Bonds, 5 if you don't count the Lazenby. Is that his name? Yeah, George Lazenby, who was only in 1 movie.
Still counts. His movie was decent.
It's just crazy. You think 50 something, almost 60 years in 2022. It'll be 60 years. 60 years of Bond. You think that there would be a lot more, and there really hasn't been.
How many films did Sean Connery alone do? It's like close to 10 or over, I feel.
Sean Connery did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay.
Damn.
So halfway to 10.
Roger
Like a lot more
Moore.
in my head.
Roger Moore did 7. So Roger Moore is the most prolific James Bond.
His James Bonds are great. His movies.
Oof.
Yeah, I
You
mean-
say that with the wrong group of people, and they're gonna get all hot, man. It's so fucking weird. Like, people are shitty about that too. You know what I mean?
No,
There are
they
some very hyperactive Bond fans. Like, it's crazy.
it's like anything, it's like, as far as like who's gonna be the next, Doctor Who or James Bond, there people get crazy with that, and they're in the new one that now is delayed until I think next year. They have, because at this point I think Daniel Craig's like kind of outside the bubble, and they have a female 007, and people were losing their minds about it when the trailer happened. So people are crazy.
It's interesting to me that somehow the British have managed to create franchises that aren't dependent on an actor staying in the role. like how is it that the two roles that you think about where there's gonna be a new whoever, like that's completely fucking unheard of in American pop culture. But like Bond and Doctor Who, somehow they've managed to figure out a way to say, he's just a different guy now. It's no big deal. Like,
could you see that with like Star Wars? Like suddenly Daniel Craig is Luke Skywalker by Mark Hamill. Like what?
Or like who's one of the main characters in Fast and the Furious?
Vin Diesel.
We just swap him out.
They just swap out Vin Diesel's character for not even like a Vin Diesel light, but like just a straight up, totally different fucking dude. Yeah, Doyle.
Dominic Toretto is now Doyle.
Yeah.
Had one too many family dinners.
In this house, we only drink Corona.
Oh shit, that's good.
Yeah, that's crazy as shit. Like Harry Potter. I think that might be the only well, those are like American films about British shit.
They did switch out Dumbledore.
This is true, but that's only because he died.
Doyle, what are your thoughts on Goldfinger?
Every part of it's boring and nigh unwatchable. Like, literally the fucking fight scene, which is supposed to be, like the shit with Mr. Rose's hat, is boring as fuck. Like,
odd job, fool.
Oh my god, that is like 30 minutes of the movie too. That's so long.
It goes on so long.
Dude, it's just like the most robotic, dumbass looking shit. Like
the fact that Odd Job's only speaking line in the entire film is "oh."
Yeah.
So
I just don't know why. I just like literally every part of it. I just couldn't get into it. I mean,
I love that Sean Connery's approach to learning how to fight in a film is exactly his same approach to learning how to speak with a Russian accent in The Hunt for Red October. It's literally he shows up, practices not at all, and just like moves around. Like Hunt for Red October, his Russian accent was Sean Connery talking. Like it doesn't matter. He's just Sean Connery fucking around on a movie screen, and that's how he does his job.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know, man. Can people with accents do other accents?
Let us not about the part.
What the fuck are you talking about? I mean, we just talked to like a British lady that played like an American role like a few months ago.
I don't know that I count American as an accent.
That's because you live here, dumbass. American is an accent.
I don't think so. I think a lot of Scots know they speak with an accent.
Like, I mean, Americans should be aware that they speak with an accent because when we go to Europe, we sound dumb as shit speaking.
Yeah.
Well, that's
we sound like the hillbillies of the earth.
That's grammar.
Y'all got one of them there crepes?
I'm
not saying that right.
I know it's a product of the time it was made in, but also like Bond basically just like rapes Miss Moneypenny until she likes it, essentially.
Yeah, he is very rapey.
I'm just gonna rape this bitch. Nobody's gonna notice.
I also really love how private aircraft without a single problem flew right over an army base. Yeah, you can't do that. You ain't doing that anymore.
You definitely would get shot down, like if you flew a drone over that space now.
Like we're watching that scene, and Alicia's like, "How are they not getting like fired at by stuff?" I was like, "This is the '60s, sweetie. They really weren't worried about that back then."
They're like, "Oh, what's that helicopter doing?
Yeah.
Why are we all dying?"
Well, I mean, that was the point in that instance for them to die.
Oh, I know. Tim's right, though. There would never be a moment a helicopter would get like 20 miles away from that place and just get shot out of the air.
There'd never be a moment where you go to a captain, no matter how much intelligence you have, and you're like, we're going to pretend like the bad guys are going to take over the whole base. The dude would just be like, no.
Do you know how much paperwork that's going to take?
Yeah. Again, this show's fucking terrible.
It's just old, man. This movie was the shit when it came out, bro.
Sure, I mean, like I can get that, but fuck heck.
I
enjoyed
like
it.
this movie.
I enjoyed
I
it.
thought it was a lot of fun. All right, so let's start with Juan. Juan, what do you give this?
I'll probably give it somewhere in between a 1/2 and a 3/4 thumb up.
Okay.
My thumb is all the way down.
It's on the floor. He cut his
I'm
hand
doing
off.
this as hard as I can.
I thought that I might like it when it was weird too because I was like, maybe I've been too harsh on Bond in my life, and I bought the movie because it was like $5.99 to buy it on Amazon or whatever. It's just so bad, so bad. I would have rather done anything else.
I liked it. Tim?
I was so
Damn, I
burnt
don't
out
think-
on Blacklist when I started watching it, and I was like immediately more Blacklist.
I don't think Doyle shat on Outlander that hard.
Well, I was hammered for that, and don't remember it.
Tim?
We on to me? I like I said, I enjoy the film, but it is cheesy as all fuck for me. Like there are parts of the movie where I'm like, I look up because I'm on my phone. Haha. All right, back to doing, I don't know, shit posting on Facebook.
It is
Prob-
very slow.
Probably in our Facebook group. Yeah, I mean, it's just got all those classic cheesy Bond moments that make Bond movies. Even Daniel Craig, there's shit in his movies that harken back all the way to these. So, thumbs up, but it's not something I'm going to go out of my way to watch again anytime soon. Just too many times that I've seen it.
It made me want to go watch the others now. Like it made me want to go see some of the other, because I had forgotten about it. The only thing I remembered going into it was the quote where, you know, he says, "Well, you expect me to beg?" and Goldfinger says, "No, I expect you to die." That's like the only part of this whole movie that I actually remembered before going into it.
Yeah.
There are so many fucking iconic things that are lifted right from this movie. We'll probably talk about that a little when we talk about Spy, to be honest with you, but
The slow
oh, God.
moving laser.
yeah, like just
The totally escapable jail cell.
yeah.
The completely incompetent guard / henchman.
I, for one, give this a thumbs up. Like I enjoy this movie. Like I think it's fun. I like older Bond a lot more than I like newer Bond. It makes me kind of want to watch From Russia with Love because I really enjoyed that movie. I think of all the Bond movies, that's probably the one I like the most. So
Yeah, oddly enough, I think I do. Even though it's the oldest one, right?
yeah.
I think
Alright,
No,
So-
no, Dr. No is the oldest one.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
From
All
Russia
right.
with Love, I do remember liking. And though it's been so long, maybe I don't. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, so around the table, favorite Bond films, then go. Like maybe a
Oh,
top 2 or
Jesus.
3, I guess. If you
Well,
can't pick
I mean,
just one.
I think I said mine, like From Russia with Love, Dr. No, and this one are my 3 favorite. And then I remember, I haven't seen it in probably like 20 years, but I remember liking Moonraker too. And those are like really the only 4 that I liked.
I enjoyed The Man with the Golden Gun. I was a fan of GoldenEye. I think I like 1 or 2 movies of every kind of Bond era.
I know this isn't my least favorite. My least favorite, even though everybody loves it, is Casino Royale. I think is one of the worst films ever made.
Another very slow movie.
The Daniel Craig remake or the original?
The Daniel Craig remake. It's like
Really?
it's a movie.
I like that one better than the old one.
It sucked.
How about you, Tim? What would your like 3 favorite Bond movies be?
GoldenEye for sure, because I remember like having toys and shit. Like that was the movie when I was a kid. Like its video game was awesome. Shit like that pulled me into it. Definitely Moonraker, because I remember that one used to be on the TV all the time when I was a kid, because my dad and I would usually watch that. And then what's the second Daniel Craig one?
The second Daniel Craig one is Quantum Solace.
Yep. Yeah, that one's probably my favorite of the Daniel Craigs so far.
Of the Daniel Craigs.
Yeah.
Of the Craigs.
Nice. Well, Gabriel.
Sounds like we have once again come to no kind of consensus whatsoever. Some of us love it, some of us hate it. But as usual, it does have to come to an end, everybody. On that note, be sure to find us on the internet at TOTLB.com. That'll lead you to all of our social media and basically every way that you can find us. Of course, we would love for your support. You can go to patreon.com/TOTLB to support the show. Everybody that sends us a little bit here and there, we absolutely love you and appreciate you. It's the best thing that you can do to help the show besides telling a friend to listen or watch on YouTube. And of course, you can find us on YouTube, tinyurl.com/TOTLBtube. If you have any opinions about this, feel free to contact us on social media or give us a call on the Michael Kirk Memorial Hotline, 970-573-6148. With that said, I've been Gabe.
I'm Tim.
I'm Doyle.
I'm Juan.
And this has been another amazing episode of Thinking Outside the Longbox.
Box. So long.